my name's Ruben Dax. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. Sorry about that weird sound there. And yeah, I'm a musician, often use the title multi-instrumentalist. I do a lot of electronic music. I have a background in the music tech industry. For a while, I worked for Rolly full-time. I was a product demonstrator. Product specialist, actually, was my title. And yeah, I've done a lot of different things with music and hacking music specifically, building things, taking them apart, coming up with new ideas. And yeah, for the past a little bit more than a year or so, I've been, working on all my own projects, so working freelance, but also building up this project that we're here to talk about today.
So tell us more about this intriguing name for our company.
Yeah, totally. So Copper Cedar, yeah, I think you kind of hit right on it. The kind of ideas that I'm trying to evoke. Yeah, the idea basically is, it's kind of this dichotomy idea, right? So, the basic idea is it's raw materials, right? As you said, it is the core building blocks, the components of the things that I'm building, right? In a way, it's actually a very literal name, and it's just the fact that I'm making wooden electronics, and cedar is a type of wood, type of lumber, and copper is the, fundamental raw material in most electronics, right? Highly conductive material. And so kind of the idea of this rustic technology, this kind of artisanal technology, wooden electronics, and also that it's hardware, right? What I'm making are physical devices, and so I like having kind of a tangible, physically grounded brand.
So could you give us a very quick tour of what your studio is made of?
I've got all kinds of things. So right here I've got, this is actually a marimba that I built years ago.
Wow.
In maybe, what year is that? Probably around 2013, 2014. I used to work at this summer camp in Vermont teaching woodworking. And so I had access to all these great tools. And so in my off time, I was spending all day painstakingly sanding these bars of mahogany to try to get them in tune to make this thing, which I didn't play. It's not like I was a marimba or xylophone or, melodic percussion player ever before, but I really loved the idea of building one. So that kind of led me into that. I've got right here a really beautiful instrument called the Array Mbira. Which is made not by me. This is made by these two really amazing craftsmen and inventors out in Southern California. It's a take on the traditional South African mbira, but kind of on steroids, right? It's like a full keyboard version of it instead of only playing with your thumbs. Really interesting note arrangement system. Too much to talk about for the moment, but really beautiful sound. I've got some Rolly light pad blocks sitting down here, which I use for all kinds of different things. But right now, just using it for some basic DAW controls, faders, stutter effects, volume, turning on and off my microphone. Some kind of very, sturdy utilitarian purposes at the moment. But of course, they're wonderful MP devices. You can use them as full instruments on their own. Yeah, lots of things.
Great.
And a microphone.
And the microphone.
Always important to have a mic.
Of course, and you're a singer as well, so that's
exactly.
important. That's Another important instrument. Awesome. Thank you for the tour. And I know that there's many more instruments, but I'm curious about how, all of this surrounding working with a music tech company, also doing a degree and building instruments,
Yeah.
and marimba, all the way from working on wood to then building a MIDI controller, and then led you to your next stage of actually making a company. So I guess it's a natural story. It can be a natural evolution. But how was it for you to decide, okay, I've done enough hacking, now I'm going to embrace it fully and do the actual thing of building something and trying to get customers?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been a dream of mine for a long time. Even before I was hired by other companies working in the music tech industry, I had been spending years before that still hacking together, building these things, putting Arduinos together, plugging in buttons, figuring out how to get MIDI to come out of it, all these things. I just basically, I guess if we go back even further, so I grew up playing regular instruments, kind of regular. My main instrument was the upright bass. I played jazz bass. So not so regular, very cumbersome to bring around, but that was my thing. But when I was in high school, I started getting into trying to make beats, right? Trying to just make hip hop beats for me and my friends to rap on, literally. And I knew nothing about it. I had GarageBand. I was dragging around the pre-made loops that they had in GarageBand, that kind of thing. But this was really, I'm only bringing this up because this is really the start of what kind of expanded my mind about not being locked into a single timbre or a single interface, right? And it kind of was a huge mind-blowing realization for me that, oh wait, now that I have software and I have a MIDI controller, I can fully decouple these two things, right? I'm no longer, the sound that's being produced is completely separate now from the actual tool that I'm using to generate that sound, which is a really beautiful thing. It kind of, and that in itself is also a culmination of hundreds of years of development, right? Because the piano is kind of like that, right? It kind of is an interface tool where you're not actually plucking the strings, right, on a piano. You're playing these ivory keys that then have this wonderful mechanic on the inside that makes it happen. But MIDI is kind of the final form realization of this basic idea. Idea is that it allows you to control sound, specifically MIDI, not necessarily sound, but for, some people they might think about it that way, using space, right? You get to control MIDI in midair. It gives you kind of this, it draws from what is perhaps the oldest electronic instrument, or one of the oldest electronic instruments, of course, the theremin, right? Is kind of the fundamental inspiration for this idea, but does it in a completely different way on a technical side, right? It's using a LiDAR sensor, so it's really sensitive. It's millimeter sensitive to how close objects are to the device, and yeah, it's moving in one stream as opposed to general distance in the way that a theremin works. And so it's a MIDI controller, plug and play, USB-C, and when you connect to your computer, it gets recognized as a MIDI controller. And then you can see, on the interface, there are no knobs or buttons or sliders or anything to configure the product. So that is achieved through a web app that I built. It's using Web MIDI, and basically gives you a software interface to configure all your settings, and then those settings can get stored directly on the hardware. So it's nice. You open it up and it syncs directly with the device, tells you what all of your current parameters are, and then you can adjust them as you see fit. But the cool thing is that ProxiMIDI is versatile in the sense that you can use it either as a companion tool or as a standalone, instrument on its own, controlling a VST directly. you can also layer these different messages if you want, right? So there's pitch bend, modulation, mod wheel, right? Standard kind of the two things that you would normally have on the side of a keyboard. Pressure and CC messages. So you can send all or only one or any combination of these that you want at the same time, which can get pretty fun to layer them. We're now controlling filter, right? And I'm just using Yuhi Diva, by the way, for transparency about which VIs I'm using. Right, so now we're opening and closing the filter. This is a very interesting way to use this tool, which feels extremely intuitive and has great response with this virtual instrument, which is that I can actually imagine that this column of air is a string that I'm bowing across, and my hand being the bow. So, for example, so you can see if my hand's not moving, I don't get a sound until I move a little bit, because it's as if I'm... So it's actually responding to the speed of my hand movement and the distance that I'm moving, right? So... I'm just playing random notes here, but you can. It's really one of my favorite, virtual instrument specific use cases.
Thanks, Ruben. That was awesome. So what's next with your instrument? When is it going to be available for people who want to get it? Are you going to do a Kickstarter? What's on the radar?
Well, the plan is right now to be announcing this product, which hopefully when people are watching this, it has been announced. So in the future present, hopefully announcing soon. What I'm currently, the stage that I'm at right now is I'm actually about to send out a group of them to a handful of beta testers that I've been in communication with to try to do some, really get some good user feedback from people who I think would be, kind of varied, but of the right type of audience to make the most out of this. So yeah, my next phase is basically going through some beta testing, doing any rounds of updates that come as a result of that beta testing, and then pretty much everything else is lined up. So yeah, I am launching for direct sales on my own website, which is copperandcedar.com, AND in between the two words. And yeah, so right now if you go there, right now if you go there, there would be there's a spot that you can enter to enter the mailing list, but you can't actually get to the full site when this video is out. Everyone should be able to access copperandcedar.com, and there'll be lots more information there, hopefully some videos coming soon. And yeah, it's all gonna be direct for at first. We'll see. I've self-funded it thus far, and we're just gonna see how far that can go. And yeah, super excited to have it out there and see what people think and start hearing some of other people's tunes and working from there.